Every single morning, 40 million Americans over the age of 60 sit down to breakfast with one thought in their heads: I'm starting my day right. Whole grain toast, a glass of orange juice, maybe some yogurt with granola. Healthy choices, sensible choices, knocker or Dior, and a stunning number of them, more than any gastroenterologist will ever admit, are poisoning their liver one meal at a time. I'm not talking about alcohol. I'm not talking about medication side effects. I'm talking about 7 foods sitting in your kitchen right now that millions of people believe are part of a healthy breakfast. Foods that have been marketed as nutritious, heart-healthy, even anti-aging. And every single one of them is slowly, quietly, systematically overwhelming the one organ you cannot live without. Your liver weighs approximately 1.5 kilograms. It sits tucked beneath your rib cage on the right side of your abdomen, and it performs over 500 separate metabolic functions every single day. It filters toxins. It produces bile. It regulates blood sugar. It synthesizes proteins. It stores vitamins. And after the age of 60, it does all of this with 30 to 40% less efficiency than it did when you were 40. That reduction is not inevitable, but you can absolutely accelerate it with the wrong habits. And breakfast, the meal you've been told is the most important meal of the day, is where the damage begins. Subscribe to Dr. Waterling right now and hit that like button. We're working toward 1,000 subscribers, and we're building this channel on one principle: your body is not your enemy. The system that profits from keeping you confused, that system is the problem. Let's fix it together. Let me be direct with you. Your liver does not make noise when it's struggling. It doesn't send pain signals. It doesn't announce distress. By the time you feel symptoms, fatigue, abdominal swelling, jaundice, that yellow tint to the skin and eyes, you've already lost significant function. The liver can lose 70% of its capacity before it produces noticeable symptoms. That silence is dangerous. It means the damage accumulates invisibly for years. And here's what makes this particularly cruel. The foods I'm about to name are not junk food. They're not obviously unhealthy. They're the foods doctors recommend. They're the foods nutritionists suggest. They're the foods that appear on every healthy aging checklist you've ever read. And that makes them more dangerous, not less, because you eat them with confidence day after day, year after year, never suspecting what's happening inside your body. Let me explain exactly what's happening at the cellular level. Your liver processes everything you eat, every carbohydrate, every protein, every molecule of fat. It breaks them down, packages them, stores them, or converts them into energy. When you eat certain types of sugar, particularly fructose, your liver metabolizes it differently than glucose. Fructose cannot be used directly by your muscles or brain. It must be processed entirely by the liver. And when fructose arrives in quantities your liver cannot handle, it gets converted into fat. Not subcutaneous fat, the kind you can see under your skin. Visceral fat. The kind that wraps around your organs, and specifically, it creates fat deposits inside the liver itself. This condition is called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And right now in the United States, between 80 and 100 million adults have it. Most of them have absolutely no idea. They feel fine, like you see in this here. They function normally, and their liver is quietly, steadily filling with fat. Here's the physics of what's happening. When liver cells accumulate fat, they swell. When they swell, they compress the tiny blood vessels running through the liver. When those vessels compress, oxygen delivery decreases. When oxygen decreases, cells begin to die. When cells die, they're replaced with scar tissue. And when enough scar tissue accumulates, you have cirrhosis, irreversible permanent liver damage. The same condition caused by decades of alcohol abuse, except you got there eating foods marketed as healthy. Now the 7 foods fructose. I'm going to name them, explain the mechanism, and then give you the exact replacements that support liver function instead of destroying it. Number 1. Store-bought fruit juice, particularly orange juice. A single 250 milliliter glass, that's about 1 cup, contains 24 grams of sugar. That's 6 teaspoons. And because the fiber has been removed during processing, that sugar hits your bloodstream fast. Your liver processes fructose, and orange juice contains roughly equal amounts of glucose and fructose. When you drink juice without fiber to slow absorption, your liver receives a concentrated fructose load it was never designed to handle. Chronic exposure to these surges creates the exact metabolic environment that produces fatty liver disease. Number 2. Low-fat flavored yogurt. When manufacturers remove fat from yogurt, they replace it with sugar to maintain palatability. A single serving, typically 150 grams, contains 15 to 20 grams of added sugar. That's separate from the naturally occurring lactose. The sugar appears on labels as evaporated cane juice, fruit concentrate, or simply sugar, and your liver processes every gram of it. The irony is painful. You chose low-fat yogurt because you were told fat causes heart disease. You were never told that the replacement sugar damages your liver. Number 3. Instant oatmeal packets, the flavored varieties. Plain oats are extraordinarily beneficial, but instant oatmeal packets contain added sugars, typically 10 to 15 grams per packet, along with maltodextrin, a highly processed carbohydrate that spikes blood sugar faster than table sugar. Your liver responds to these blood sugar spikes by converting excess glucose into fat. Day after day, packet after packet, the fat accumulates. Number 4. Whole wheat bread, specifically the commercial varieties. I'm not talking about dense artisanal sourdough. I'm talking about the soft pre-sliced bread marketed as whole grain or whole wheat. These products contain added sugars, typically 2 to 4 grams per slice, and high fructose corn syrup appears frequently in ingredient lists. More importantly, modern commercial wheat has been hybridized for higher gluten content and faster rising times. This wheat produces a blood sugar response nearly identical to white bread. Your liver converts that excess glucose into triglycerides, fats that either get stored in the liver or released into the bloodstream. Number 5. Breakfast cereal, even the varieties marketed as heart healthy or high fiber. A standard serving, 30 to 40 grams, which is significantly less than most people pour, contains 8 to 12 grams of sugar. That's before adding milk. The cereal industry has spent 50 years convincing consumers that breakfast means cereal. And millions of people over 60 start every single day with a blood sugar surge followed by a crash that leaves them hungry 2 hours later, reaching for another sugary snack, perpetuating the cycle. Number 6. Dried fruit, particularly raisins, cranberries, and apricots. When you remove water from fruit, you concentrate the sugar. 40 grams of raisins, that's about a quarter cup, contains 25 grams of sugar. That's more sugar than a glazed donut. And because dried fruit is dense and portable, people consume quantities they would never eat in fresh form. Nobody sits down and eats 10 fresh apricots, but they'll easily consume 10 dried apricots as a snack. The liver cannot distinguish between fructose from fruit and fructose from soda. Excessive fructose, regardless of source, creates the same metabolic damage. Number 7. Store-bought smoothies or smoothie bowls. These appear healthy. They contain fruit, sometimes vegetables, often advertised as packed with vitamins and antioxidants. A typical 400 milliliter bottle contains 40 to 50 grams of sugar. The blending process breaks down fiber, making the fructose more rapidly absorbable. You're drinking what amounts to concentrated fruit sugar with minimal fiber protection. Your liver receives the same overload it would from drinking soda. Now, here's what the healthcare industry won't tell you. There is no pharmaceutical treatment for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. No medication reverses it. No surgery fixes it. The only intervention that works is dietary modification. information. But your next doctor's appointment will not include a detailed breakfast review. There's no billing code for nutritional counseling. There's no revenue stream in teaching you to read ingredient labels. The system profits from managing complications, not preventing them. Let me give you a case study. Margaret, 64 years old, came to my office complaining of persistent fatigue. She'd been to 3 different doctors. Blood work showed slightly elevated liver enzymes. She was told it was probably nothing, maybe related to the cholesterol medication she'd been taking for 5 years. Nobody ordered an ultrasound. Nobody asked about her diet. When I took her complete dietary history, here's what I found. Every morning, a glass of orange juice, a bowl of instant oatmeal with raisins, and a low-fat yogurt. Mid-morning snack, a granola bar. She thought she was eating healthy. She'd eliminated bacon and eggs years ago because her cardiologist told her to reduce cholesterol. I ordered an ultrasound, moderate fatty infiltration of the liver. I explained the mechanism. I gave her the exact protocol I'm about to give you. Within 8 weeks, her fatigue resolved. Within 6 months, her liver enzymes normalized. The ultrasound 1 year later showed significant improvement. No medication, no surgery. Just breakfast modification. So, now what should you eat instead? Here is your complete protocol. Morning, first thing, a glass of water with half a fresh lemon squeezed into it. This stimulates bile production and supports liver detoxification. Then, 20 minutes later, breakfast. 3 eggs, cooked any style you prefer, with a half cup of sautéed vegetables, spinach, mushrooms, bell peppers, zucchini, whatever you enjoy. Add 1 tablespoon of olive oil for cooking. 1 slice of true sourdough bread, the kind made with only flour, water, and salt that has been fermented for at least 12 hours. You can identify it by the dense texture and sour smell. If your bread is soft and sweet, it's not real sourdough. If you want oatmeal, use whole rolled oats, not instant. Cook 50 grams, about half a cup of dry oats, in water. Add 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 10 grams, about 2 tablespoons, of chopped walnuts. If you need sweetness, add 50 grams of fresh blueberries. That's about a 1/4 cup. Never add dried fruit. Never add honey or maple syrup. If you want yogurt, buy full-fat plain Greek yogurt. So, styrden mindistat. Add your own fresh fruit. Berries work best because they're lower in fructose than tropical fruits. Add nuts for texture and healthy fats. Replace fruit juice with actual fruit. 1 medium orange contains fiber that slows sugar absorption. The juice from 4 oranges does not. Replace breakfast cereal with eggs, avocado, smoked fish, or homemade grain-free granola made from nuts and seeds. Here's the principle. Your breakfast should contain protein, healthy fats, and fiber. It should not contain added sugars, processed grains, or fruit juice. When you eat this way, your blood sugar remains stable. Your liver doesn't receive fructose overload. Fat accumulation stops. And if you already have fatty liver disease, your liver begins to heal. Timeline for results. Within the first 2 weeks, you'll notice stable energy without mid-morning crashes. Within 4 to 6 weeks, if you were experiencing fatigue, it will begin to improve. Within 3 to 6 months, liver enzyme levels, if they were elevated, will start normalizing. Ultrasound improvements typically appear within 6 to 12 months of consistent dietary modification. Now, one critical warning. If you're experiencing right upper abdominal pain, particularly if it's sharp or severe, if you're seeing dark urine that looks like tea or cola, if you're noticing yellowing of your skin or the whites of your eyes, or if you're experiencing unexplained weight loss, these require immediate medical evaluation. These symptoms can indicate advanced liver disease, hepatitis, or other serious conditions. What I've described today supports liver health. It does not replace medical evaluation when serious symptoms appear. If you're taking medication for diabetes, cholesterol, or blood pressure, the dietary changes I've described may improve those conditions, which means your medication dosages may need adjustment. Work with your prescribing physician. Never discontinue prescribed medications without medical supervision. But do understand that the breakfast modifications I've described work alongside medical treatment, not instead of it. How old are you? Write it in the comments. I want to see which age group makes up the majority of our viewers because it will directly shape what I cover in future videos. Your liver is not broken. Your breakfast is broken. The system taught you to fear eggs and bacon while poisoning yourself with fruit juice and instant oatmeal. They taught you that fat causes disease while loading your food with sugar. They taught you to count calories while ignoring the metabolic catastrophe created by fructose overload. You are not helpless in front of your own biology. Your liver regenerates. It heals. It forgives a great deal if you act in time. But it requires understanding and discipline. It requires rejecting the breakfast foods that have been marketed to you for 50 years and returning to real food, whole food, food that doesn't require an ingredient label because it's just food. The window between manageable strain and irreversible damage narrows with every passing year after 60. But that window is still open. Your liver is still capable of recovery. The only thing standing between you and restored liver function is knowledge and action. You now have the knowledge. The action is yours. Subscribe to Dr. Waterling. Hit the like button. And if this video helped you, send it to someone you care about, a parent, a friend, someone who might be starting every day with orange juice and instant oatmeal, believing they're making healthy choices. You may have just given them a real chance to prevent the silent disease that affects 100 million Americans and that conventional medicine has no pharmaceutical answer for. Your body is not your enemy. Your liver is not failing you. The breakfast you were taught to eat is failing your liver. Fix breakfast. Many denti ombi and heal your liver. Take back control.